Misery has a way of creeping into places where it doesn't belong, and on a cold Tuesday morning, it walked straight into a small American diner wrapped around the shoulders of a young mother named Mara Collins. Her torn beige sweater barely shielded her from the icy wind outside, and her tired eyes told a story far heavier than the worn jeans clinging to her legs. She held her little daughter, Ruby, close to her chest as if her arms were the last safe world Ruby had left. The smell of fresh pancakes and coffee filled the diner, but for Mara, every scent was a reminder of hunger she could no longer hide. She had come not for herself, but for her daughter, just a small meal, just something warm to help Ruby stop shivering. She had no idea she was about to be humiliated in front of strangers, or that someone powerful was quietly watching. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and standing up for people who are struggling, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? Your support truly helps these stories reach more hearts. Mara stepped up to the counter and shifted Ruby to her hip, whispering a silent prayer that maybe, just maybe, the manager might have a heart. Her voice trembled as she asked if there was any small meal they could spare, explaining that she would return to pay once she secured her paycheck later that week. But even before she finished, she could feel the air shift around her. The diner manager, Barry Kingston, a man with a loud presence and an even louder ego, leaned forward with an expression twisted somewhere between disbelief and mockery. His red diner uniform made him look official, but the sneer on his face made him look cruel. He pointed his finger sharply at Mara, laughing as if her request were the funniest thing he'd heard all week. Customers in nearby booths glanced over, some with pity, some pretending not to see, and some simply frozen by the cruelty unfolding. Mara's cheeks burned with shame, her arms tightening around Ruby as if shielding her daughter from the ugliness of the world. The humiliation was sharp, cold, and unforgettable. At a booth near the right side of the diner sat a quiet, silver-haired man with a thoughtful gaze. His name was Graham Adler, and to everyone else he looked like just another customer sipping coffee on a late morning. His gray shirt, rolled-up sleeves, and calm demeanor made him blend in perfectly. No one knew, and certainly Barry didn't, that Graham was actually the CEO and owner of the entire diner chain. He often visited his locations unannounced, not to intimidate but to observe, to understand the heartbeat of the people working under his name. Today, he hadn't expected to witness something like this. But there he was, watching a desperate mother be mocked by the very person meant to serve and uplift customers. Graham set his cup down slowly, every muscle in his jaw tightening. Moments like this were defining, not just for the people involved but for the soul of a company and the humanity of a community. As Barry continued to ridicule Mara, pointing at her torn clothes and making snide remarks loud enough for everyone to hear, Mara felt her strength slipping. She knew she looked poor. She knew she looked desperate. But she never imagined being shamed in such a public and vicious way. Ruby tugged at her sweater, her little voice asking if they could go home, and Mara felt her heart crack all over again. She had fought through job losses, bills, and sleepless nights, but nothing hurt like being belittled simply for trying to feed her child. She contemplated walking out, swallowing her pride and her hunger, and pretending none of this happened. But something inside her made her stay just a moment longer, a small flicker of hope that someone, anyone, might show her compassion. And someone did. Graham rose quietly from his seat, his presence carrying a calm authority that made heads turn without him saying a single word. He walked toward the counter, not with anger, but with a measured purpose. The diner seemed to hold its breath as he approached, and Barry's smug grin faded when he realized the man he had ignored moments ago was now standing directly beside him. Graham didn't need to shout or point fingers, he simply observed the plate of food Barry had been guarding so theatrically and then looked back at Mara with eyes full of empathy. There was a heaviness in the air, the kind that comes right before justice arrives, unexpected and undeniable. The transformation that followed wasn't loud or dramatic, it was quiet, steady, and deeply human. Graham placed a gentle hand on the counter and instructed a nearby waitress to bring Mara and Ruby a fresh, warm meal, whatever they wanted, and plenty of it. His tone left no room for debate. The staff immediately shifted, sensing that something significant was happening. Barry, now pale and stiff, tried to regain composure, but his attempts fell flat. Graham calmly informed him that his behavior did not reflect the values of the company, and consequences would follow. It wasn't revenge, it was accountability. Mara watched in stunned silence, tears slipping down her cheeks, not from shame this time, but from overwhelming relief. For the first time in a long time, someone had stood up for her, not because they had to, but because it was right. As Mara and Ruby sat down to eat, Graham quietly paid for their meals and offered her a discreet card, explaining that the diner had openings if she needed work. His gesture wasn't charity, it was dignity, it was opportunity, it was a reminder that kindness still existed in a world that sometimes forgot. The customers watched with softened eyes, some clapping gently, others wiping tears. The diner, once filled with tension, shifted into something warm, almost healing. Mara felt hope return to her heart like sunlight breaking through clouds that had hung over her for far too long. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, subscribe to Kindness Corner, and share this story so more people can be reminded that kindness still matters in this world. Before the story ends, please comment below. Kindness is stronger than cruelty. And with that simple act of courage and compassion, a broken moment became the beginning of a new chapter, one where dignity triumphed over humiliation, where a mother found hope again, and where one man's quiet watchfulness changed everything.